Recording is on. Sorry for the screw up.
Okay. On about the 12th or 13th there, I posted up a document to go to the chief judge for our trust, okay, to do a vote. Well, basically, in doing that, we were not voting in the right way, and I was claiming to be the trustee. Okay, we are not the trustee. Okay, we're the elector, but we're also the stockholder and the beneficiary of the trust. When the trust was set up, and basically in the documents that I have up there about voting trust, and I gave this to everybody before I put my court order in there, these words up on there about voting trust, termination of trust, and proxy. Okay? You guys didn't take the time to go in and take a look at that and highlight different things, and I was in a rush. I thought I had everything right. Well, I didn't. Okay? It says, simply stated, a device whereby persons owning stock with voting powers divorce the voting rights therefrom the ownership, retaining the latter, that's the ownership, to all intents and purposes, and transferring the former, okay, that's the right of vote, the voting right, to trustees, in whom the voting rights of all depositors in the trust are pooled. Well, there's only one trustee in our trust, and that is our fictional person. Now, he can't vote, okay? So we have to come in and vote for him. There's 3 amendments out here to the Constitution that also address this same fact. But people don't see them for what they really are. Okay? When they set these trusts up, they set them up for everybody, each individual person, man, woman, child. Okay? So, they had to give the voting right to the females also for their trust. That's what the 19th Amendment is all about. The whole government in this country is nothing but a bank, a trust banking government. All the bills that are passed in the House, they're bills, and then they have to find a way to pay for them. So it's a bank, trust bank. Now, the initial Constitution was set up as a trust corporation, company, for the national treasure, for we the people's assets, equity. Okay? And that was basically set up as it was a corporate trust. Now, that was in the de jure. Then in 1871, they set up this other trust corporation, but it was a commercial trust. And it started out operating with the postal monetary system out here of using the deposits of the people into the post office, the postal savings system of the post office. Well, that held for a while, but basically they still needed more money, so they turned around and set up in the 1920s. Well, they started in the 1910s and through the 1920s and into the 30s, basically getting a permission to assign so much out of the national trust over to individual registered trust. So that basically you were given like your birth weight in gold and $640,000. $640,000 to be deposited into this individual trust. You became the stockholder in that trust, the sole stockholder, and the beneficiary of that trust. But they put in place a trustee that could not act. You have to come in and by proxy vote have the vote cast by the trustee. Okay? This is all a proxy voting trust. Now, the constitutional corporate trust was set up and monitored by courts and Article 3 judges. The judges are nothing more than, for their main job, nothing more than the National Treasury Equity Trust and Bank account managers to manage the accounts. The Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Attorney General, and even the President, they're all trust bank officers. It's all a big trust bank. Okay? And we're the electors, we're the stockholders in this trust bank, the National Trust Bank. And that's the one that basically holds all the assets, and that's why full faith and credit is given to us. Now, the second one, the 1871, United States, all capital, copyrighted, it's a commercial trust. It's a setup to where it is committed to others for management and disposal. Okay? And the commercial trust, this is the one that you have a certificate to. So you don't have a certificate to the National Trust other than you are born here and you are an American citizen. But this commercial trust, you have a certificate, and that is a voting certificate, and then they set it up that it had to be done by proxy vote in the process. You get a bill, you basically do a proxy vote for your trustee, your all-capital name person, and you send the bill into the bankruptcy court. You got 30 days to get that thing processed, so don't lollygag around. But you voted. The trustee is the only one that can move the money out of the trust. No one else can. Not even the bank officers can come in and vote. In proxy, it says, a shareholder in a national bank may vote by proxy, but no officer or employee of the bank may act as proxy. That is what everybody has been going into court totally wrong, trying to make the judge the trustee. They can't be the trustee. They're the account manager for the trust bank. We have to vote by proxy. and make it known that it's the trustee now is making the vote, that we're voting for him. So that's what the 19th Amendment was about, was to give women the right to vote their trust in proxy. Then along came the 24th Amendment, and that one basically guaranteed everybody the right to vote, that proxy. And then came along the 26th Amendment, which lowered the voting age of the proxy down to 18 from 21. So now as soon as you graduate from high school, you can start voting your proxy. You can vote to go to whatever college you want to. You've got a student loan. You can vote to pay the thing off right now. But everything is done by proxy. Okay, now, I had Tom put proxy ballot up there the other day, okay, for voting by proxy. Okay, and that one is very simple, okay. It has 2 votes on it. The election item to be voted on, termination of trust. Termination of a trust is by terminating and liquidating the relationship of the trustee and the beneficiary as the limits and conditions of the proxy trust and the term of the trustee office have expired. Okay? You basically, the trust was created, and it was supposed to be for a term of 21 years, with a follow-up period contingent on an event, and the follow-up event was when you turned 25, you were supposed to be totally free of all debt. You were, okay? But you were free of all debt all along. You just didn't know it. You just had to vote by proxy for your trustee. Now, on the item, you have your certificate of live birth. That is the initial trust. Now, you have one at the state, a trust at the state level, and a trust at the federal level under that certificate of live birth. If you move to another state, you're going to have another trust set up over there in that other state because you now have a driver's license, certificate of title, you have property that now is being registered in that state. But it all gets tied back to that original certificate of live birth by way of the transmitting account number, which is your Social Security number. And then the routing number, bank routing number, is the number on the back of your Social Security card. Those bills of exchange and everything that I was doing before, we were so damn close. All we had to have it was, but this was a proxy voted withdrawal or transfer. And then sign it and basically sign it as it was a proxy vote for the trustee. And then send those in. Now, you also have the right of, by proxy, to revoke like traffic tickets and other items like that, because the traffic tickets are against the trustee and not against the stockholder, you. The license is for the trustee, not for the stockholder. The stockholder is not the trust. If you read these damn definitions, and I've told you to read the things, you might start seeing some of this stuff. You want to find the law books? You go to the dictionaries. You need to understand the words. Until you understand the words, you will never understand anything. I've tried to stress that for almost 3 years or more now by putting word definitions up here to try and get you people to start looking at the damn dictionaries. It's all right there. And the more dictionaries you have, and when you do a cross-reference between the difference of the words, that is really when it starts to come to light. Like one of the big words that I came up with today was basically absorption. It's not in most of the law dictionaries, but it's a pretty simple, understood word. Something gets absorbed like a sponge. What do we do for all the fraudulent charges and debts? They have to be turned over to us, returned to us, all charges and state usage and fraudulent charges, so that we or I can discharge their debt by absorption. Does not Mother Earth absorb all the static electricity by lightning out there? Yes, she absorbs it and takes the charge. You have to start looking at things a lot simpler. Stay away from all the codes and everything else, because in most cases they're going to confuse the hell out of you unless you actually know what you're looking for. Like certain items, like Title 46, USC, about the Shipping Act, because that really addresses this trust system here. It addresses the ages that you have the right to come in on. It addresses the different type of accounts that you have. That you got to know how to read between the lines and look for this stuff. You need to get some support groups amongst yourselves, talking back and forth, whether you do it by Skype or by phone, whatever. By having a coffee with a couple people. But you need to get more active out there and get more people involved sitting with you, okay? Talking this over so that you get a better understanding of this. I hate to say this, but most of you are walking around idiots. I keep hearing, well, yeah, I know that. Yeah, right. You don't know it. If you knew it, you probably would have said something before this. Or else you're the smartest person in the class sitting in the background with your mouth taped shut. scared of your own damn shadow. Like I said all along, this was not to be a one-man show. And I get so sick and tired of all these patriots out here that'll go and pay $500, $1,000, travel all the way across the country for damn dinars. Come on, people. That isn't the currency of this damn country. You want to play with dinars? Then go over to Iraq or Iran, wherever the hell they are. You start learning about this country. This is the one that you're supposed to be living in. Until you understand your own country, don't try and control something in another country. You're just messing with those people, harming them. And that's what the bankers love to do. They get you playing both sides of the damn fence. Hell, it was the bankers that set up the damn Civil War to get brother fighting brother in the damn Civil War. All for money. There wasn't anything about slavery or anything like that. That was already on the way out. It was on the way out because it was the moral right thing to do. And the people would stand up and support instead of trying to get bought off by the damn plantation owners and everything and let money talk and buy them out. The people need to start standing up. There are more of us than there are the bankers. There are more of us than the government. And the government, is most of it, is just bankers. The people, yeah, they sit around and bitch and complain about money and everything else and about all the stuff that's going on in the politics because that's what they love to do, is just sit there and be in misery. That was very well proven in all of the games back in the Roman times in the Colosseums. Keep the people preoccupied. Show them a little blood and guts, little sex, and basically they're happy. While you're fleecing them the whole damn time. People that go to Vegas and gamble, they don't know the games. So, basically, they're going to get taken. Very, very few ever walk out of there. And if they do, they walk as soon as they hit it. They leave right then and there. Get the money out of town. Otherwise, you're just there for the enjoyment of being had. I know, I've been there. I've done that. I speak from actual doing everything that I've said out here. I didn't know how close I was when I went into the bankruptcy court. All I needed to do in that bankruptcy court was to vote by proxy and to vote my trustee to terminate and liquidate the trust. They were sitting there waiting for me, but I didn't do it. I've been to every other court out there the same way. They can't do it for us. We have to do it. We're the only one that can vote. So, I put a official U.S. voting trust termination ballot up there. I did one for the state. Now, if you've got a DD-214, you would have another one there. Instead of certificate of live birth, you would put down the DD-214 military discharge certificate. The bailment number is the selective service number that you have. And then it's accessed by the SSN transmitting account number and routing number. Same thing. Now, you shut these certificates down, but you transfer the certificates over to your foreign grantor trust, your private trust. You can have all the assets moved over there too. The state voting ballot, basically I put some other information on it down at the bottom. Notice of trustee proxy voted termination of trust upon upon a lawful fax to the listed state trust account officers. They now have 3 days to complete the voted trust termination and liquidation. For the U.S. electors' right of restitutio in interim or whatever, the state court judge, district court judge, or superior court judge, whatever, attorney general and secretary of state, and if you want to, you can put down the treasurer of the state as trust account officers, state trust account, banking trust account officers, if you want to add a little more to it, are to account for all state of withheld trust property. And see, your certificate of title to your house, your vehicle, your boat, the driver's license, the voter registration card, you name it, all of those are basically trust property. And they're withholding, they've been utilizing that trust property to access and write and fund the bills that they pass out of the House and Senate at the state level. They're the ones that are really getting the true benefit, but they're claiming we're getting the benefit into the trust, but we've never been paid. And there's other words up there that I tried to post before talking about that we have never received, but they claim that we're the receiver of those, even though the trust never turned it over to us, because we never came in as by proxy vote and had the trustee transfer the funds over to us. I told the Attorney General's office, I said, I will be more than glad to pay any taxes that are due as soon as I get paid. But the thing is, the stockholder does not owe anything to the company, to the corporation. The corporation owes everything to the stockholders. Okay? So even all taxes end up having to go back to ground, to the source. And that is basically the stockholder, you. But you have to know how the system works. They're supposed to purge all the records for all legal entries dealing with the trust quasi-trustee. Everything is recorded in the trustee's name. And then they're to issue to us, as the elector, the stockholder, a protectionary U.S. green elector status with a green state ID, state passport, whatever. And then the final trust settlement delivery is to be made to us. In the letter that I sent to the judge, and basically get my package, the second package about the proxy voted termination tomorrow morning. On that, I also, by proxy vote for the trustee and by the shareholder, stockholder, me, voted to have $10,000 immediate relief given over by vote. We'll see how they handle that one. They're just a bank, a trust bank. And when you come in and you vote to have something done, they have to comply. It was because we never voted. That is why nothing ever really got done. Most people were out here refusing the damn trust. You can't destroy this trust. It's yours for your lifetime. You also have one, basically with the Church of Rome. Especially if you've been baptized, you have a baptismal certificate. Now on that one, basically that one should have been able to be voted in and it started accessing at the age of 12. At least that's what the Bible says. But it should have been there again for a maximum of 21 years. That's when you could have basically terminated the whole thing. See, people don't look at the correlation. When did the Social Security account really go into effect? It went into effect when you turned 18, even though you might have signed it when you were 13, 14. You couldn't really utilize that to draw until you turned 18. As the transmitting utility number and bank routing number. The bank routing number wasn't put in place until in the 1970s. Before, you just had the transmitting utility number, the Social Security number, that you would process through. There was supposed to be a maximum of a 7-year contract, because you were supposed to have fully terminated the trust when you turned 25. The Selective Service Trust was 18 to 25 also. You got military bounty added to it if you went in and served and defended the country, the nation. When we terminate the trust, those certificates will not die. They will stay in effect, and basically the assets, the dividends, and everything else that are due those certificates for our lifetime will be transferred over to our 98 Series Foreign Grantor Trust. Now, you also, if you have dead relatives, okay, there is another trust out here, and that is the state certificate of death. But you also have their certificate of live birth. The funds may still be under a certificate of live birth, so you need to combine both of them together when you vote by proxy. And the trustee over those certificates is the name that's on the certificate. Your father's name, whatever, your mother's name, Aunt Pearl, Uncle Festus, whatever. They are the trustee, but you have to show lineage, like with your certificate of live birth, that you are the son of that person. That is why your father and mother's, your father's family name and everything is on there, and then your mother's maiden name is on there. So you could go back against her maiden lineage. Your grandfather on your mother's side. So you can show the correlation, the tree of life and death. When you guys pull up these words, you take the definition, you print some of these things out. You then go in and start highlighting certain key words, like in this voting trust. You go in, and the first thing you do is see trustee. So you highlight every trustee that's in there. Then you look at the other party, the owner, the stockholder. You highlight that. Beneficial owner is the same as the stockholder. Then you can start seeing the two different players in the game. But until you put a red shirt on the one and a white shirt on the other, you can't tell the difference between the two. Your eye and your mind just can't make the correlation. You've never been taught that in the proper respects. And most people are colorblind in this regard in the way of banking. You can't see the different players in the game. Yeah, it's very simple. All you have to do, and the trustee is the one that basically is the one that's going to terminate the trust. We've tried to terminate it, but we can't. It's in the trustee's hands, so we have to come in by way of proxy vote for the trustee in his name and terminate it. The trustee is the only one that can make this trust function and also to shut it down. No bank officer or employee can do it either. They can access the funds and put additional charges against it, but that's all they can do. And most of the charges they're doing are constructive, fraudulent charges. you have to come in and, by way of the trustee, vote to terminate those charges, to void those charges, saying those charges are illegal. They're not authorized in any regards in lawful equity. In all court actions, that court, and see all these judges with their bar cards, they are just operating for this commercial trust as bank account managers or trust bank account managers. You have to come in and say, hey, that overdraft charge was fraudulent. I had the money in the bank, and you charged me an overdraft? Wait a minute. Because as soon as you put the money in by way of ATM, it's now recorded. They have the money. And they've been drawing, and they're just trying and see how smart you guys are. See whether you're going to stand up to them. You have a right to travel unmolested. The trustee doesn't. It's the trustee that's getting tagged for everything. But they're claiming you're the trustee in the process, that all you have to do is terminate and vote for the trustee now. You say proxy vote. I'm voting by proxy for the trustee. And the trustee says this is total bullshit. We're out of here.
This is Mike.
You're late.
I know.
Show's just
Better
about
late
over.
than never.
Yeah, show's just about over.
Okay, well, keep talking, whatever you're talking about. Thank you.
Well,
Go listen to the call.
so like I said, there's two different trusts in this country. You have the National Equity Trust, which was per the Constitution. And then you have your individual commercial trust, which was set up in 1933. And that is controlled by the bar, and B-A-R. B-A comes from the first two letters of bankruptcy, and then the R comes from rupsy. They are just a bankrupt account manager. Commercial bankrupt account manager for the trust. Because also your trustee is the bankrupt to you. But he's all a fiction. You can always take another look at Title or Amendment 19, 26, or 24 and 26. And that basically the trustee has no sex, but yet the 19th Amendment gave the right to vote to all sexes, even if they don't have any sex. The 24th basically gave it to all persons, even a person on a piece of paper. And then the 18th, or the 26th, gave the voting power to 18 to that piece of paper person. Every amendment out there, every item out here, all the statutes and everything that basically has been passed, is all banking. Just as the whole damn Bible is all about banking. Banking and trust. Trust and banking. Equity. Okay? Where's it at? And that's what these money changers, and that's why Jesus got so pissed off at them, and basically even got pissed off the people. He sat there in the temple and tried to teach these people. And if I haven't been doing that, sitting in the temple with all the stuff that I've been doing of going to these courts, and they know damn well that I'm trying to teach them something, that I'm teaching myself at the same time. And I'm not one to be closed mind. I will be able to basically admit when I've made a mistake and go in a different direction. I refuse to go off the cliff like so many other people out here have tried to do. I've tried to tell people to stay away from bonds. You cannot do bonds. Either you or your trustee are not licensed to do bonds. Now, if I would have followed up with my commodity broker's license, I could have done bonds, but only from a commercial standpoint and only writing them for other people, not for the trust. But there's ways out of prison for everybody that's out there that basically is not in there for a heinous crime of murder or child molesting or something like that, something that has caused actual harm and damage. They're all just charges, and you can discharge those by way of proxy vote for your trustee.
So if that's your blood, it's going to come on again. It's going to come on twice tonight. We might not see the first episode, but it'll come on again.
I didn't understand what you said at all. Say it again. Were you asking a question?
I think he was talking to somebody else.
Okay. No, I tried to make this as simple as possible, and it's got to be simple. Even the bankruptcy judge told the guys down in South Carolina, you can do this yourself. Well, if this isn't doing it yourself, I don't know what it is. To vote and see you have the proxy voting right for your trustee, who is just a piece of paper, just a name on a piece of paper. But he's the one that's preventing you from doing anything. And this also comes into play in the forgiveness. You have to forgive your trustee by voting for him because he's incompetent. The unpardonable sin that basically is talked about in the Bible. The sin of understanding. A lot of people run around out here thinking that they know everything about the law and they're going to fight it by going to the codes and everything else. And, oh, they're violating this thing and they're violating that thing. That don't make a hill of beans until you vote for your trustee. You ain't going to get shit. They will bleed you dry. Now, when you stand up and you have the power of your trust behind you, and then you also have the power of the national trust behind you, the full faith and credit of the national trust, you have the bigger money pile. You can break them. And they ain't going to go that route. Because like all these courts, most of them are just putting additional charges against you when you deny something. When the trustee does not step forward and do a vote on something to either terminate or to accept it, then they will basically process in the back room additional charges against you. And we found that out by going to the bankruptcy court in D.C. and going through their modular section there of how the attorneys and everything are putting additional charges and liens against our trust. Because we're not coming in and settling these things the right way. Or terminating the trust altogether so that they can't access the trust any longer. They cannot prevent the closure, the termination of a trust because of income taxes or any other items. They have to be brought to closure in the item, and the account rendered has to be turned over to you. And then at that point in time, you can question any of those items on that accounting. Because, like I said, all income taxes really go back to ground. They go back to the shareholder, stockholder, the owner. The corporation, the commercial corporation out here, government corporation, company, basically has been utilizing our assets under usury for their benefit all along. So they're the ones that owe the taxes, but they owe the taxes to us for the usage. But you have to be able to prove it. And until you get an understanding of being over this trust, you're not going to be able to prove it. And then to see that those, basically, the whole thing. You've got two different governments. One, the national trust bank government, and then this commercial, individual voting trust government. Okay. Been going on, well, a little less than an hour since came on late. But go ahead. Any questions?
Yeah, Patrick, I have one. This is Kevin. How you doing?
Okay.
What, is it necessary that we have our voters' registration card intact before we file our documentations in the Superior Court?
Your foreign grantor trust?
No, not the foreign grantor's trust, but your voters' registration card.
No. No, basically that's just another one of their games, okay?
Okay.
You have the certificate of live birth. That is your voting trust certificate. Read the definitions that I had posted up there.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
It doesn't say anything about a voter registration card, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No. It talks about the certificate.
Well, your transmission utility, I know that is your Social Security number.
Social Security number, okay.
And your routing number on the back of your Social Security card?
Yes, that is the bank routing number.
Okay. And so you would say
those, and that's all you needed to give to the bankruptcy court, but you needed to come in and do a proxy trustee vote to have the funds transferred.
Right. And then you do the termination, voters termination.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, but you're coming in and you're doing, you're voting for the trustee, and then you're voting for the stockholder. So basically, both parties are in agreement to terminate this trust.
Right.
They can't say a damn thing then if both parties are in agreement.
Right. And that'd be the state of whatever state you're in, and then that would be the United States, what? Because I see your voting termination ballot here, and it says state of blank, and then it has a dash. Would that be the district court?
The state of is the birth certificate. Where did the birth certificate come from? Okay? Mine came from Iowa. Then, what I got here? Then I have my name. Okay, Patrick Devine, U.S. Commercial Constructive Voting Trust per proxy voting trust certificate, which is a certificate of live birth. Okay, I also have one for DD 214, but my name on that, and that is a United States Patrick Paul Devine Commercial Constructive Voting Trust as a military discharge certificate. Okay, and then that is under the selected service number, which is an 11-digit number, whereas the certificate of live birth is an 11-digit number.
Okay, I just want to get that part, so now I understand. And I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
Patrick?
Yeah.
On the updated vote to the chief judge, what we're including, I don't have a DD 214 package to send in, and my certificate of live birth package would be both the COLB and the hospital record, just like it was before, right?
No. You would put a copy of your certificate of live birth and a copy of your Social Security card.
Oh, okay.
The two documents that are listed up there on that proxy vote. That's the two that you need to prove that you have the right to vote.
Right. And so those are the same two we send into the state then?
Yeah. Your certificate of live birth and a copy of your Social Security card.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Your birth certificate, that is totally private.
Right. None of that voter registration card or license or vehicle numbers.
You can address all those individually, and basically when they come to terminate the trust, because when you terminate this master trust, all of those attachments have to come down too.
Have to be rendered.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Makes it simple.
Because they drew the funds from those accounts, so they're sub-accounts. So you address that all sub-accounts are to also be terminated.
Okay. think I got it. I
Okay.
almost got this difference in the trustee, but I really do appreciate your telling us how you work through the definitions with the highlighting. And now I understand your bolding and italicizing the different things, as those are your different colors in black and white.
Yes, because you have to put the red shirt on one team and you have to put the white shirt on the other team so you know who the two players are on the field.
Right.
You don't play a football game with everybody in white.
Got it.
Any other questions?
Any more, guys?
It's probably your last chance.
Yeah, this is Steve. The National Trust and the Commercial Voting Trust, you said one's at the state and one's at the national, even though each state... What? Go ahead.
No. The National Trust, okay, was the combination trust of we the people per the Constitution.
Okay.
That Constitution was a trust setup, okay?
Yeah.
To allow them to function and draw against the People's Trust, the People's National Trust. Okay?
Okay.
Now, this other one, this second government set up in 1871, now became a commercial trust, which is a subdivision being levied against the national item, that they could only utilize it initially by going out and having postal accounts set up and getting the people to deposit their labor into the post office savings bank system.
That's what we have now.
And basically they converted that over into this individual trust by drawing $640,000 out of the national trust and giving it over to each individual person. But right now it's up to over $1 million for anybody that's born in the present time to start out with.
How'd you find out that $640,000?
That's been out there for years, Tom.
Okay. Now, what you just said about the two trusts, that's in the second paragraph of this voting trust definition, right? A trust created by an agreement between a group of shareholders, stockholders, and trustees.
If you go into company trust or trust companies or whatever, it's in one of those other definitions that I put up there.
Okay.
Okay?
Right. Okay, in your definition of proxy, there's the word damages, and I don't see how it fits. Proxy, a short.
Go and look the word damages up, okay?
Okay.
When you come across the word you don't quite understand, go and look it up. See how it relates back to the other one.
You said that often enough, I should have caught that. Right. I'll put that note down here for myself.
Okay, any other questions?
So back to what I asked about the same thing, what you just answered, was how they got access instead of just going right to the Treasury. That's how they cut the little piece of pie to take the bites off of.
Yes, but it was still our Treasury, but now they were just handing it over to us.
Right.
Okay? They were moving the funds out of the people's treasury over to the people. They didn't take it.
Yeah.
They just put it over and gave us a certificate and said, here, you've got this much over here. You just didn't know.
So I described it pretty good. It's like they just cut a little piece of pie off where they can put your name on it, but it's part of the whole pie.
Yes.
Right.
And see, you still have access to the whole pie that's left.
Right. I got you. That's okay. I understand it good now. I missed a few minutes from the beginning. So.
If you get access to and shut your portion down, that you will probably spend everything that's in there. Especially when you go in and start adding your dead parents or dead relatives' accounts to your account.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's still plenty big, especially when you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you aren't going to run out.
Well, you shouldn't unless you go down and buy a damn country or something somewhere.
Right.
Go over and invest in dinars and get your ass kicked all over the damn place. Go out to Vegas and throw it all down on black, and red comes up.
Yeah.
There's enough people out there that are never happy enough with anything. And they don't want to gain the knowledge to get smart. They just think that they know everything.
Boy, that's the truth. I even start to hint about any of this stuff, people don't want to hear it. They're like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean. They don't.
Yeah. Well,
each week I'm getting smarter, but nobody wants to hear anything still.
Yeah, and the funny thing was, I had those 3 amendments highlighted in the damn dictionary, or in the handbook, one of those Patriot handbooks that has the Constitution with all the amendments in, and I had those 3 highlighted in there previously. That I didn't see what I was really should have been seeing until basically I got into this proxy voting and seeing that the fiction is basically the trustee. Then starting to understand the government is nothing but a bank. Because they write bills and basically they have to have charges. Well, that's a bank. Everything out there is all about money.
Well, like another analogy I'll use is like, when they went after the Tsar Nicholas of Russia's family, certain daughters had jewels sewn into their clothing. And it's just like our accounts. It's like the jewels are sewed in to these accounts, and we don't have a way of seeing them.
Well, yeah, you can use it in that analogy, but yeah. But people just don't have the eyes to see, and basically even the people out there, when the Constitution was initially set up, okay, what was the first duel all about? Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
About money, about banking. Andrew Jackson, about banking.
Yeah, he had it going in the green, and they shut him down.
Now, everything has been about banking out here. The money changers and their banking system, they wanted to try and control everything. And they hid it away from us. This is the national treasure that Nicolas Cage was trying to find. Hidden right in plain sight. You need to get those binoculars that Benjamin Franklin came up with, those bifocals or triple trifocals or whatever they were, to see the hidden meanings that you can't see otherwise. Okay, any other questions?
If I may, Patrick, I have a question regarding the electors. As I think about it, how can we have national electors in a republic? All electors have to be on the state level, don't they?
We are, basically, you're classified as a national qualified elector when you meet all the qualifications of a House of Representatives. Read the Constitution. Now, as an elector, you're located within a state, okay?
Right.
But you are classified as a national elector within that state, and then the state has the right to vote how many ever electors to show up to vote for the president or certain offices.
Yes.
But see, if we don't stand up as national electors within the state, then basically all the nitwit voters out there are going to put in a fictional national elector to go and vote in some nitwit. And they've been doing a hell of a good job of putting these damn banker nitwits in place.
But our recognition as an elector has to be done first at the state level, does it not?
What?
We have to be recognized as an elector on a state level, which by extension makes us a national.
Yes, you do that, but you have to get out of being classified as a debtor. And the only way you can do that is to close down this trust, because it's a bankrupt trust, and basically that is what is claiming that you're a debtor. So until you get that closed down, you can't basically get the rest of it.
I follow you. I close the loop.
What?
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question. Patrick, did you say that the proxy has to come from the birth state?
No. You can be in any state, but basically the certificate, okay, of live birth, okay, you will do, you have a trust in your birthing state, you have a trust in the state you're living in, and then you have the national trust, all under that one certificate of live birth.
Okay.
Okay? But there's only one trustee over all of those trusts. You're fiction. And you come in and vote by proxy over him to terminate those trusts.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
As you know, I have 3 different trusts. Now, these probably don't count, but I lived in Texas in the 5th and 6th grade and Connecticut in the 1st grade. There's probably no use going after that, right? Because I don't have any documents.
Everything should be tied. If you go into the federal district court, basically should be able to shut that whole thing down.
Okay.
Okay? Now, if you have individual sub-accounts at the state level, when you terminate and you put your notice in that you're terminating this main account, okay, those sub-accounts also have to be terminated.
Okay. And they will pop up. They will pop
Just
up.
put it in, okay? But basically everything, all the numbers are tied through that transmitting Social Security account number and that trust certificate number.
Right.
Okay? It's just, people, please, think of a regular bank. Okay? This is nothing different. How many different sub-accounts can you have against one? You've got a bank, United U.S. Trust Bank, okay? Now, you can have 25 different accounts sitting in there under a whole bunch of different EIN numbers. You shut the main one down, you're going to shut them all down. Because all those other EINs are tied to that main account. Stop trying to make this so damn difficult and try and think. I mean, you're making this ridiculous. That's what the whole damn problem in this whole damn process has been. People try and make it more complicated than it really is. We're dealing with a bunch of damn bankers that don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, really. The only thing they know is how to fleece your back pocket. They're just damn pickpockets.
Patrick?
Yeah.
We filed this in the district court or in the bankruptcy court? Because I heard you say
I would go to the chief district court judge. That's who I sent mine into.
Okay.
You want to do a termination, you go to the chief judge for the district. Okay, and that's not the bankruptcy court. The bankruptcy court is only there to handle transactions like your utility bill. When you come in and vote by proxy for your trustee to have the utility bill paid, you send it into the bankruptcy court.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so basically we're chopping down the tree, and once you chop down the tree, all the branches go too.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then you send out notifications to the Secretary of State that you basically, the Attorney General, and to the Treasurer of the state, and to your state court system, that you've also terminated this trust. Send it into the Secretary of the Treasury, to the Attorney General at the national level, and to the Secretary of State. Also, that you've terminated your trust and you want your national elector identifications. They're to purge any association, just like in the movie Eraser. Basically, they're going to take and purge the trustee out of the system. Okay. You're going to assign a new trustee to your new trust.
Got it.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
And don't assign a living individual to your new trust.
Do not assign a living individual to my new trust. Okay. Assign another entity?
You would make another fictional entity. Now you would know that you're going to have control over that fictional entity. You will vote by proxy for him too. But see, you're going to basically have control of that trust. It's going to be an entirely different trust. It's going to be a private trust. But it will be your right-hand person who is going to be the trustee. Is what I'm saying. Don't put Sister Elsie on there to be the trustee for your trust.
Okay, that makes sense. So that will be a private...
Yeah, Sister Elsie might turn around and marry Joe Blow, and basically they abscond with everything in your trust.
Well, that would be grounds for murder.
Yeah, but you got to find them first because they just skipped the country.
So is that private trust is a foreign grantor trust, correct, with a 98 number?
Yes, and basically, but when you get this stuff, that would be where you're going to put your certificate of live birth, and if you have military DD-214, that's where you would put those certificates so that the continuation of the dividends for your lifetime will be deposited into that trust account. See, those certificates do not die when we close this trust down.
They just have to be moved.
They have to be moved because the dividends are still going to be coming in.
Right.
They only stop when you stop.
Patrick?
Yeah.
This last proxy ballot that we're doing, that replaces the previous voting trust termination ballot then, right? Or do we have to do both?
Well, basically, if you've done the other, yeah. But if not, just do this one, okay?
Right.
I would do the one that I put up and sent out last Friday, okay? And then this other state one is just a notification.
Right.
See, the one that I sent out Friday or whatever, that is signed by the judge. The one that's going to the state isn't signed by any judge. It's just signed by us, the trustee and the stockholder.
Right. I was thinking of new people who haven't sent anything in yet. Do they send in both or just send in the last one? Or
well, they need to send in the last two, okay?
Okay.
These proxy votes, okay?
These proxy votes, one for the
yes. These last two proxy votes, you can take the other thing off the site. Take everything else off, okay?
Okay, got it. So just these just chief judge vote, chief judge proxy vote, and the votes to each state.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So, Patrick, you mentioned earlier going back and claiming other relatives. If you don't have the same last name as that particular relative, does that matter, or they can figure it out?
As what?
Okay, so you mentioned today going and claiming stuff for relatives that have died. So, for example, if I were to go claim my maternal grandmother, whose maiden name is different from mine because she married my grandfather, would I be able to do that?
Basically, if you have access to her death certificate, and basically you would have access to your mother's birth certificate.
Okay, well, I have access to Dad's. Okay.
Then, see, you have to show the lineage, the family tree. Okay. So you'd have to go to your mother's birth certificate and then go from her birth certificate over to her mother's certificate.
Okay. Makes total sense.
Yeah, you have to just follow the tree, follow the roots or whatever. Okay, any other questions?
Guess not.
Okay, shut her down, Tom. Talk to you guys later.
Thank you very much,
well,
Patrick.
Maybe not. I'm probably through, okay?
Okay.
They show up tomorrow with $10,000, I'm out of here. So you guys have a good time. I gave you the answer. Now make it work.
Thank you.
It's simple. It's simple. Okay?
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Tom, you still there?
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? This is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, listen. When we do our your state voting termination with the state, I'll send all your documents into the federal district court. We supposed to send a cover letter with this, telling them, directing them to send all the certificates to your foreign grants account, right?
No, from what Patrick said tonight, it's when they come to you to show the account rendering, that's when you tell them.
Oh, okay. When they come to you and ask for to pick up your when they come to seize the documentations from you.
Right, and they're ready to get the money.
I didn't hear somebody was sitting with the phone.
Somebody's making a lot of static.
Don, this is the third time I've had to mute you because you just have tremendous noise in the background.
I didn't catch it. Now, what did you say?
Okay. If you don't have a foreign grantor trust, when they bring you your assets, you ask them to set you one up.
Oh, okay. Well, I got a foreign grantor trust number, but I'm just saying when they come to retrieve the documentations that you're submitting, you tell them at that point to transfer all certificates to your foreign grantor trust account.
Right. It probably would be a good idea to have a copy of the CB 575 confirmation letter you got to give to them.
I didn't hear it. What did you say?
When you got your foreign grantor trust number, IRS sent you a CB 575 confirmation letter.
Right.
On that letter says, when you ever refer to this trust, use the exact way it's addressed on here.
Right.
Get a copy of that letter, and when they want to know about your trust, give them that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I discovered another thing. I did, I think that was the form EFTTS form.
That's for taxes.
Right. I did that form, right? And I enrolled in that. And what the thing I discovered was when I called them and asked them for the PIN number because they never sent it, they haven't sent it, they told me to give them the address. So I'm thinking, I said, well, maybe I'm using the address that was sent to me by the IRS. I gave them that. They said, no, that's not the right one. So I gave them several different other addresses, and they said it's not the one. So I finally gave them the address to where I was born at, and they said that is the address that's on file. I'm like, wow, I never gave them that. So when I gave them that address, they said, yeah, that is the correct address that IRS have on file.
Certificate of live birth then.
Huh?
Kevin, it's Gita. Tell them what you had to do to change the address.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do that now. But I was saying, it was astonishing to me because I never gave them that address connected to my 98 number when they gave me my 98 number. So that's why I'm like, wow, why would they address it to send my PIN number to the hospital where I was born at?
Well, that's because they took off the certificate of live birth then.
Right. So now I got to do a 8822B form. So if I can do a
8832, isn't it?
No, it's 8822B.
Okay.
That's
so
correct.
The address they had was to the hospital you were born at?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was on file. And I didn't give them that on file. What I gave them when the letter was they sent back to me with my 98 number was to the address where I live. Okay, now that's to not understand the way the lady explained to me, that's your contact number. But for the place for your business is for the address where you was born at. And that's where all mail is going there. All the tax stuff I did, my OIDs I was supposed to be getting get back, all that money went to that particular hospital. That was told to me. I talked to the people on.
They got that address when the hospital sent in the application for the certificate of live birth.
Right, so they're the ones been getting all the funds that I accrued. When I did some 1099s some time back to get retrieve some money that came out of my back pocket.
When they do
my IRS record shows that these refunds was paid out. And I said, well, I never got it. And my mom said, I never got it. But what happened was those funds were sent to my place of business for the corporation. for the birth certificate, which was the place I was born at. That's where all the money went.
Your accounts are rendered, get that money back.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a letter to them and saying, look, I want these funds back. This is the date and time and everything. And send, huh?
That's an interesting point. I'll run that one by Patrick.
Yeah, but that's what happened. I'm like, wow.
Because he had told us before that all those payments were being sent to the post office to a very highly encoded address that we didn't know about, so we couldn't retrieve them. But you're saying it could be all being sent back to the hospital.
Well, that's where my stuff was sent back to. The way I was informed by the EFTPS officer there,
that was their
individual
fraud.
there.
That was their bribe to the hospital to get the hospital to send in the application.
I believe that's might what happened, but I haven't been able to contact the hospital yet. It's in Texas, so what I'm gonna do is wait. I have to wait till Monday, and I'm gonna contact them and talk to someone in payroll and see if I can get the names and stuff, and see if I can get some information out, squeeze some information out of them.
Well, the obvious question is, getting my mail. What did you do with it?
With what?
With my mail that's been sent to them.
My mail?
I don't think they know. I don't think Kevin knows what happened to the mail that was sent to his birthplace, his birth hospital, right, Kevin?
I don't.
No,
I don't. I don't know, but I'm gonna ask what happened to it. That's why I said I'm gonna contact them Monday because it was the weekend.
If your mail is being sent there, they're probably inundated with mail from all the people who.
Right. Hey, Kevin, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any frivolous filing for doing any OIDs?
Did I ever get any what?
Frivolous filing fees for doing any OIDs?
No, I never have. No, I haven't gotten one. No.
Okay, that's probably because you did the 8281 with your OIDs and it went to your birthplace, right?
Right, I did the 8182s with that when I did the OIDs for every last one of them. But however, the way I'm understanding, the way the people was explaining to me, it went to their record show a refund was issued, but it went to my birth address. It didn't go to me.
Which is the hospital you were born in.
Which is the hospital I was born in. So what I'm going to do is call them and say, hey, look, on such date, this, that, and other was sent to your office by error from the IRS. I'm trying to retrieve that document, those information, and see if I can get the information from them. And at the same token, I'm going to send a letter to them, certified letter to the account office, let them know with a copy of the documents I got from the IRS saying, look, the refund was paid out, and I want to know where the fund's at.
Put an affidavit of mailing in there that's notarized.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to do an affidavit of mailing, and I'm going to send a certified return receipt, and I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to call them. I probably won't get too much information over the phone, but I'm going to send a letter to them, let them know, hey, the jig is up. I know. Here's the documents to prove that this is what happened.
You know what, Kev?
Yeah.
You know what? I think doing that change of address, what is it, the 8822B form?
Right.
I think by doing the change of address is telling the hospital, telling the IRS, don't send it to the hospital anymore. Send it to where you're residing or whatever.
Right. That's what I'm. Yeah, I'm doing that. But in the meantime, all the other funds went there, and I have a record of the funds of the refund. So that's why I'm gonna show them with a letter and everything, affidavit letter, and affidavit of truth, and so forth and whatnot, and a letter of acknowledgement showing, hey, look, did you receive these documents? Acknowledge it back to me. So I'm gonna do all that so I can tell them, hey, these funds went into your account. You received it. It was never returned back to the IRS.
That's all kinds of mail fraud.
It would be a good idea to play around with this by doing the address change and then doing an OID with the 8281 and then see what happens.
Well, that's not a good idea. Do an address change to the 8822B and then do OID and see what happens.
See how that works. Yeah, do it with the complete paperwork. With the 8281 with it.
Right.
And then, it's like trial and error.
What division of the IRS told you about this address?
Excuse me?
What division of the IRS told you about this address?
It was I went to the EPF TPS when I went to them to check on my PIN number for the taxes. Yes. They told me that they asked me for different address, and the address said it's not the address on file, so they couldn't get it. They couldn't talk to me. So I said, well, what? I said, well, only other address I know would be the address where I was born. So I gave it to them. They said that is the correct address. And then that's when she was telling me this what happened, that's what happened, and she gave me a number to call the IRS, and I called the IRS at the business center, and I spoke with a lady there spoke to a gentleman by the name of Mr. Oliver, and he told me and gave me all the information, what was going on.
Okay.
Hey,
very good. But a number of people have been getting refunds there, So somehow, well, why was your address kept there, or how many people's address are there? Or because I doubt anybody knows this.
I don't know, but I'm just saying, I don't know why my 9, see, I did my 9A of them in 2010. And I did, me and Patrick did it some time ago in 2010. We did it on the 3420 form, the 3520 form. We did it on those forms. So when they sent, I've been having my 9A number since 2010. And I just recently got my estate number in 2015. However, I never gave that particular address on those my papers. I went back and looked at all my papers that my hospital address was never given out. It was an address sent to me, so that's why I'm puzzled. It's a connection somewhere.
But I wanted to say something about that connection, and to answer your question, Tom, we got to think about the foundational document that started their connection to us. Now, we like to think the birth certificate, but what happened before the birth certificate? The hospital stay.
Right.
What about the test that was ran that determined that our mother was pregnant? What about that medical record? That medical record came before the birth certificate. Now, have we taken that medical record and captured it? You get what I'm saying? Made ourselves or taken control of it. You get what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying.
See, because one principle we have to keep in mind is that what we don't do for ourselves, somebody else will do, and we can't complain or claim fraud.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining at all. I'm just,
I'm just saying it in general. So
I'm happy this happened.
Our parents in their ignorance didn't take control of their affairs, so the hospital continued to do it, and then now they're capitalizing off of it. That medical record is very important. You know what I'm saying? We got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Another thing, when on your birth certificate they list your mom as an informant. She they don't have her on her name they list her as an informant on your birth certificate. So I understand the rationale of it because we're considered bastards because they don't list them as husband and wife on the birth certificate. They list them as their name and their other name, and they list them as informants. So I understand the rationale of that. So I'm happy this happened because now it gives me the opportunity to collect what's really rightfully mine. I'm not going to claim fraud because they just conducting business.
Well,
They probably took those funds and invested them somewhere, which means that makes you the creditor on that principal, and they make an interest, which comes back to you too.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why I'm going to send this letter and ask for have my hand out. Where's mine? Because I am the author. I am the author of these funds. I'm the original origins of the funds, and I just want my cut. That's all.
Well, the reason I brought up the application is because Patrick has mentioned that several times.
Right.
But the process for doing a certificate of live birth is 90 days after the birth of the child. That's when the hospital sits down and makes the application, and they get $5,000 for doing that. And it looks like they not only get the $5,000 for doing it, but all the future dividends if you don't catch on.
Right.
Hey, Tom, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you on that voter registration card. How do you get a national voters registration card? Is there such a thing? There's one in the state.
I don't think there is. I've never heard.
Well, since I already I got an elector card as a voter, and since I've got the elector, can I get one for the national before I close? I haven't closed. I don't have the 98 form. I haven't closed the account yet.
Well, since we don't know if there is a card, how can we tell you whether you need to get one?
Okay, because he's making sense when he said national. So if I'm an elector, that qualifies me as getting a national.
He explains that everybody is located in a particular state, but they become a national elector. That doesn't mean they vote for the whole nation, but they can be chosen for the electoral college.
That's right. If you was in politics and did that, or in the voting,
they're still associated with their state.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's just something that nobody knows. Okay, and probably don't have it, I guess.
Okay, ask around. Do your own research on that.
Yeah. I would like to see if there's such an animal. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
So, Tom?
Yeah.
Tom, how do you do where do I go to find out about the EFTPS? Do I still need to do that?
No, we don't need to do any of that.
Okay.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah.
It is Tom?
I mean, the people who are doing it are the ones who had tax problems, and it worked for them. But I don't have tax problems, so, I found it curious, but it was no help to me.
Okay, I know someone who does.
But the information that they got did provide me with the account numbers that work for that. If my latest attempt at paying my utility bill doesn't work, I'll try those account numbers.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
They, Gita and others developed the account numbers that work on that EFTPS. I've been trying to pay my utility bill online, and the account numbers I use haven't worked. So my final attempt at paying the utility bill online will be to use the combination of numbers that work for EFTPS.
Okay. I'll post something in the forum.
But there was an email in the past week from somebody who put in a link to the EFTPS system if you want to track it down. But that's not part of Patrick's process.
Okay. And that's in the in the Yahoo group?
Yes.
Okay.
I forget who did that.
Okay, Tom, on the elector, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's no such thing as a national elector unless you're voted into an office. And only then you have the mandate to operate as an elector. A state...
I think when you're in office, you're not actually operating as an elector. You're actually operating as an officer.
Exactly. Logic says there should not even be a national elector, only a state elector in a Republican form of government.
Right, because we're all citizens of the state, and the U.S. citizens are all part of a phony foreign Halliburton company.
Exactly. What I'm saying is I don't think there is a national elector, only but as an extension of your status within a state.
Right. Yeah, well, it does mean as once you are a U.S. elector, which means you can, that it's the same, as he says, it's the same qualifications that you need to be a member of Congress or to be president.
Yes, that I understand.
That you have to be over 25 and out of debt.
But he was asking how to get a card as a national elector. I don't think they exist.
No, that's what I said.
Yeah, agreed. That's what I was trying to... I poorly asked Patrick earlier. Okay, that makes sense then.
Okay.
But he said something about getting our new ID, the new ID system.
Yes, but they clear several times that we're getting that from the state level, except for the passport.
Exactly.
I couldn't hear what you said. You kind of muffled.
Me?
Yeah. I can barely hear you anyhow. But anyhow, I'm going to put it off speakerphone. What did you just say? I didn't hear what you said.
I said that he's made it clear that we get the IDs from the state level except for the passport.
Right.
It's in the documents.
Right.
Kevin.
Okay.
Kevin. Hello?
Yeah.
Kevin.
I'm not sure he's still with us.
Okay.
He may have passed on.
Let me ask you guys, have you guys seen the definition of hell in the law dictionaries?
No.
It says it's the name given to a place under the exchequer's chamber where the king's debtors are confined.
That's one to look up.
What was the word?
Hell.
Hell. Gehenna.
I see. What was that you just said? Something about Halliburton?
Well, this whole business a country operating as it was a corporation goes back to the way the East India Company operated for the British Empire.
Right,
It was a company who was basically in charge of it. So I've always referred to the East India Company as the Halliburton of its day.
Oh, probably.
And, since D.C. is a corporate form of government, and Mussolini's definition of fascism is corporatism, it's a corporate fascist government. We're under a fascist government.
It is that.
All those people try to say, it's fascism is a one-party system, or it's ultra-nationalism, or it's racism, or all kinds of other things. It's Mussolini hit it on his head. He heard all that. He says they're all wrong. The real definition of fascism is corporatism. And that's essentially what our government is corporatism.
Yep. Big time.
Right.
Hey, Tom, can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
If I got this card that says elector in all caps, Don Little, you think I could go to the Secretary of State and tell him I want a ID card for the state of Washington, the real state, as an elector, show him my card and say, can I get a green passport for the state, which would be just a green ID, and use that for the...
Along the lines of they'll always play dumb. They will probably say that elector only means that you're qualified to vote in your precinct.
Oh, okay, that's good to probably see if they would throw that in.
That's not. I don't think that's what it means, but that's what they'll say it means.
Well, when I went and got that, I told the guy, and he only had one other person to come in and do that before me. Okay. That was a friend of mine. I was telling him about this. But like I say, I don't know yet, but I'd have to go try that.
Did you see the voter's card that I posted up on Yahoo today?
Yeah, I've seen the stuff you posted. I just haven't downloaded it to scrutinize it good enough yet. But it makes sense.
That's just for our observation. It's not anything we can do. But he had a very friendly. Ray was on the call earlier, but he has a hard time calling in. He had a very friendly guy down at the city's elections office, and in fact, he'd been talking to that guy about getting out of the system. So it was that cooperative, and the guy allowed him to sign up. Not only did he do on his application, he signed it EL.
Yeah, that's what I have too.
I asked him if he could go back, and if the guy's that friendly, let him modify that signature to EL, his name, comma, U.S. elector. And he says,
U.S. Oh, okay. I've got this card. Then I could go back to that guy with my voter's card, my card here, says the elector, Donald Little, and have U.S. put on it, and then modify it and have him pop up a new one.
Okay.
I'm going to try that then. And if I got that, then I should be able to get a green ID card.
Well, you should. It might do that. They'll probably still fight you, but you got more ammunition.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let me try that Monday morning. I'll go back down there and try that technique and say, hey, I noticed you got an elector, and is this only for the state in my district? Well, what I'm going to do for sorry.
Yeah, actually, Ray was on the line, but there was so much noise that we couldn't hear him. I'll open up again.
It's one thing that kind of pains me is that I have to go and learn about all this stuff that I never knew, like banking and politics and states. And You know, because it's one thing that that's like reoccurring when I read these definitions is that if you disturb the process of how it usually go, you pretty much prove your ignorance, and they can trap you right back in the situation.
Yeah, that's right.
We can't continue to be ignorant by just filing documents thinking that stuff is just going to happen. We have to actually do our due diligence and learn this stuff, because I hate politics. I hate it. And it pains me that they have to go and learn this stuff.
Well,
history has to be done.
History and banking is not politics. Politics is all the distractions the bankers arrange for us to fight about while they're stealing us blind.
Well, what I mean by that is electors, by being electors.
Right.
We basically, I know it's not only in politics, but then again, it is in a sense, because what I do know is that they continuously make us offers. And if we ignore those offers, we basically acquiesce to it. I was reading something where someone had disputed an act that was enacted by some legislation. And what they did, they sent in a letter of all inclusion. And when I looked up the definition of inclusion, what I saw is that, because we've been trained to look through other people's eyes when it comes to stuff, but what the definition was explaining is through your own eyes, you are all inclusive to yourself, not to what they propose. You kind of get what I'm saying? It keeps saying that the definition says you're all inclusive to yourself and not to what they offer.
All that kind of stuff is kind of interesting, but it's outside of the process that we're doing right now. Let's deal with that once we're out. Redoing the legal system. Did I just turn everybody off?
Oh, no, I'm still here.
Okay, you're there. Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay. There's a little button for Q&A section. It looks like if I hit almost anything within 3 inches of it, it turns on. Okay.
Are we still recording?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think our task is to really understand these documents and get them out.
Yes, sirree.
And it has boiled down to that we only need this final ballot, where the previous termination notice, where we listed all the certificates, all the sub-accounts. We no longer need to do that. We do that when they want the documents. That's the way I understand it. Okay? Anything more? Okay, so I guess that's it then. Let me terminate the recording and the conference so that I can then post the recording, because I can't do that until it's all over.
Okay, then. Thank you, Tom.
Good night, all. Bye.
Good night.